Yes, we are live. What's up, good people? Oh, hold on, I hear feedback. Yeah. Okay, what's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? Whatever. We gonna work through this Mercury retrograde, all these technical issues because we are superheroes. We got superpowers, so we finna make it do what it does. Let's get right into it. So, right before we get right into it, I want to ask the question: what type of Christian are you? Are you a Christian that's open, have like an open mind? Or would you like, well, I would like to say one of those Christians that play church, that's like one of the church folks? Because I know some people might get kind of touchy by the word antichrist. But my thinking, and when we talking about thinking of antichrist in connection with Christ's consciousness and how that relates to us, and just with our action, because I know from my personal experience, when other church folks told me that I was going to hell just before my belief, I identified that as the action, as the antichrist, or the fact that Republicans are making laws to force women to carry a stillborn to term even when their life is at risk. Wouldn't y'all consider that the act of the Antichrist? So we here to really dive deep into it, and I'm gonna pass it to my boy TJ. Take it away.
All right, folks. Hello, everyone. My name is TJ Gordon. Be prepared for a great discussion on blackness, superheroes and villains, the Antichrist, and all that jazz. And so, our format for today is we're going to break up the discussion into topics. Topic one, we'll talk about a disability representation of our favorite superhero and cartoon story. The second one, we'll dive into Fire's Antichrist question. How are superheroes, Antichrist, or villains, and in between. Our last topic will be on we create our own story. So here's how our format will go for each topic. We will have 50 minutes for you if you want to have questions. Questions. But topic have she is very strong in owning black culture. And we got a TV and a very huge Disney. And
Oh crap, we just lost two people. Oh.
in here. By the way, create
Yeah, okay. TJ's screen is frozen. And Justin, you on mute.
Okay, I'm still here.
Okay, cool. Let's see. TJ, are you there?
But it's answer the questions. So we to the first. Come on. Hold on.
TJ, you're a bit frozen.
Okay. So, should I end the stream because we having technical issues? Okay, wait. Here go TJ again. Where were those people? We having
I
some
am
technical issues.
so
Okay, because
Yeah,
TJ,
yes.
you're a bit frozen. Can you hear us now?
Brittany. I can hear you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
So, you know what happened to Brittany?
She might have been kicked out too.
Yeah, because it kind of froze and then it kind of kicked us all out and had to reconnect us.
Yeah, okay, I just texted, but let's get right into it because, like, Mercury retrograde would not defeat us.
That's right. That's right.
Okay, so TJ, what is the
That's
first
right.
topic? Okay, TJ, let's get
I
right into this.
was regular talk, so I'm sorry. I'm sorry. To the questions. So my mistake. And hopefully come back. So the first
Here
topic we
she
will
go
talk
right
about
here.
I'm
is
here.
black. Yay.
Brittany, are you back?
So we're
I'm
about to
here.
talk
I can see and hear you guys.
popular superhero
Yeah,
Okay.
is your video
monsters.
working because your screen is black?
I can see and hear you guys fine. I don't know.
Okay, cool. Let's get on with this because we are superheroes and we gonna make it do what it do. So
Yeah, I can hear you.
take it away.
All right. So question number one for you all. Tell me about your heroes or your villains or your main characters of the stories and the comics that you love. How do you relate to those characters who are black and disabled and have some type of superpowers and abilities?
Okay, well I can go like one person like I really connect with um um was from like Octavia Butler's book Wild Seed. The character Anyawu, she was like a shapeshifter, and that's why I call myself like a shapeshifter, like cause just being able to adapt to different situations and energy and being able to like cause I know people play off of my weakness and think like I'm vulnerable. So I feed into that and I play and I use it for my advantage to get in where I fit in. And when it's time when I need to let a person know, like I let them know because I just think especially having like disabilities, we gotta learn how to manipulate the system and make things work in our favor and use the fact that people think we are vulnerable and we're not capable. Yeah, so that's my piece.
This is Brittany. I think that I don't originally think I had a superhero outside of the black characters that I saw, even, watching movies with my mom because she was into the Batmans and the Catwomans and the X-Men. So I think I'm more associated and identified with Storm and Catwoman, both Halle Berry and the other remake. But I think I was always into kick-ass women, so that's kind of my personality now, and that's what it reflects.
Yeah, this is this is Justin. Yeah, I also like X-Men, like as a comic book fan, X-Men, like in the '90s, were like they're really hitting like hard on like a lot of issues, that I like, kind of like similar to disability issues and a lot of things we're fighting for, So like looking up to a lot of those characters, from particularly from those comics, was something that I like grew up like really watching and really reading about. Like for me, I would say like one of the people like over the last few years, I would say like Cyborg from like Teen Titans, Justice League movies, Young Justice,
Mhm.
uh, and being just a cybernetic, this black, disabled cybernetic, superhero, and trying to fit in a world where he acquired his disability, and trying to fit in the world is often you know, push disabled folks aside, push black disabled folks aside, and so like for me, I can relate to that because we always trying to figure out our ways to like be a part of like finding ourselves and like being a part of the disability community, and trying to just navigate through systems that oftentimes do not include us and oftentimes do not give us a voice. And so, growing up and like, let's say, growing up to like, X-Men and like and Cyborg and all these different type of characters, just really shaped kind of like who I am as a person and how I fit in as a disabled person.
I actually like Cyborg personally also
Yeah.
because much as DC is like one of the most comic labels in the history, you don't get the representation, and I'm glad that Cyborg has been pretty much the few examples of black representation of superheroes and villains time. And you can also make the case for Harvey Dent, depending on Batman you're looking at, or
Mhm.
even the man
Mm-hmm.
in his still costume, Johnny Henry Irons.
Yes.
So those to me, I think for me, I'm Killmonger. As much as I like Black Panther, here's why I met T'Challa and Killmonger. I can relate to Killmonger more because Killmonger really wanted to do is to motherland to the whole diaspora.
Mhm.
And I try to connect my disability the African diaspora. Granted, did Killmonger the job in trying to spread it? I will say no because more, more colonizing, but his heart is in the right place, I believe. And plus, so
Yeah, you know what I would say, because I will say, like, for me, Killmonger was kind of like the hero of Black Panther for me. And I think Killmonger represent like how like we as Black Americans feel disconnected from the African homeland, from our culture, when we was like stripped away. And even though like he exhibit a lot of like traits like misogyny, He was very rude, like very had that thug and like hood mentality, like that survival mentality that a lot of us like operate from. And just like when we doing this work, you TJ, you said about the African diaspora, and just like even though we're doing the work like based here in Chicago, making sure there's more resources on the South Side, I've been talking to a lot of people, someone in New York, someone in Ghana, and the situation is the same. Cause like disability is a taboo topic in every Black community, no matter where we are around the world.
Absolutely. I think our superpowers to spread more disability acceptance, but also St. Louis, Jackson, Mississippi, ATL, Canada, Mexico, Africa, all over 80 Black and brown and BIPOC folks. Hell, who's BIPOC too. So
Yeah.
yeah, go for it, Safiya. Sorry, go for
Yeah,
it.
like no, cause like when you talking about, cause I know when like I first started this project, I wanted to include like all BIPOC people with disabilities, but I also found out working with another person that's BIPOC, and like they trying to take over, and trying to like it's like how do we coexist with the different ethnicity with all being people of color, because we all have different struggles and how we show up. But the one thing by starting working with you, TJ, made me realize that Black people with disability living in America have a very unique experience from everyone else. Because like just going back to like slavery, when like our ancestor was free in 1865, the disabled Black people then wasn't able to leave the plantation as freely, and that helped create like the separation between disability and Blackness. So like that's this is my mind is like moving fast, but like I think that is like the what line where the separation between Black people with disabilities and other people with non-disability, that separation, how we overlook.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we could definitely get into more cultures in topic 3. But I like the way you bringing it up right now, Fire. It actually could keep in the back of my mind. Brittany, I'm about to pick on you now.
Okay.
You are a fan of Princess Tiana, the Disney princesses, especially the princess, the BIPOC princesses.
Oh,
And
okay.
yes, I would even put Nala. Nala counts too.
Mhm.
Uh,
Animals are a separate kingdom, TJ.
we are animal primates. Anyhow, the question, and I'll open it up to Justin and I as well. There is enough mainstream representation of Black main characters. Creators of Disney, Marvel, and all these view Black people through their interpretation of Black.
Are you asking, is there enough, TJ? I'm sorry.
Oh yes, I am asking enough representation of Black main characters. And the second part to it is, how do, let's say, Disney, for instance, usually portray Black in their story?
Well, let's talk about. I have the book. I just so happen to have the book randomly, but the the recreation of this story, The Little Mermaid, is a good example of how we weren't represented till Tiana, and how, like, even me as a child, I watched these shows or these movies all the time. My brothers were in sports. I was sitting with my grandmother watching these movies. And so for now to actually see someone and her hair is locked that looks like me, that looks like my daughter, it almost brings me to tears, because it's like I have to take my niece, I have to take my daughter, I have to go, my mom has to go, my aunt will probably go. Like, it's a thing. And like, to not be represented, for me, I always identified originally with Pocahontas, and I think that's kind of maybe why I grow my hair the way I do, because I'm Pocahontas till I die. But I didn't see me, and I'm so thankful that Lauren gets to see herself in these characters, because yes, they're fictional, but we should be represented here. And I always thought I was kind of a Disney princess myself because of my story. My dad died when I was young. I had a stroke at 19. Like, there's a lot there. So I'm actually in page 3 of the best friends of the Disney friends, and that I am writing a piece right now about how the friends of Disney characters are necessary, and most of the time they have a disability. So, for example, Pocahontas, the best friend, I have this whole story about her being disabled, and we never see what's in the cornfields, but she has a whole little pathway for the cornfields because characters keep disappearing in and out of the cornfields. So maybe they're just navigating through where to go and the signs, and it's a paved road for her. So I think it's very important to have representation, because even in fantasy, you have to go somewhere. So like, here, we're adults here, but we're talking about being superheroes. That's very important for the child developmental stages of life. And the fact that I had to gravitate towards Pocahontas because there was no one else until Tiana when I was grown is kind of how I navigated through my childhood and identifying with fantasy. But it is very important for the child developmental stages.
Can I add one thing with like talking about like Tiana, because like even though like it's good, because like I was like, I'm not going to even lie, when I saw the trailer of Holly Bailey, I cried, because like growing up, all I seen was white people like Lizzie McGuire, like even Stevens. I didn't see any black representation until That's So Raven and the Proud Family. So I cried, because like that made me think that's exactly what I want for black disabled black girls. But when we talking about like representation with all the other Disney princesses, like the white girls, like they got to embrace their true femininity. But with Tiana, she was hard working, and everything was hard for us. And it adds to the stereotype of the angry black woman, or the super overly strong black woman, or overly masculine. And I know as a collective black woman, we tired. We just want an easy life, to be in our feminine state and just like rest and not take on the world. And so like,
Right.
yeah, that's what I want to add to that.
Well, but Tiana was a boss too, because she wasn't just looking to marry a prince like every other Disney princess. So I think there was something in that I even gravitate to, is that she was hard working. Her daddy told her, don't just wish on stars, because that's fool. And that's a lot of reality. Like, you can't just wait for some man to take care of you. You got to get it while you can. And then if a man should come by, let him act. So I think there was something in that story, even that I took, and I kind of try to tell Lauren, like, you can't just wish for things to happen. You got to work too. It's
Yeah,
okay to be strong, literally.
yeah, I think like that's the point, like how we um need to be resilient to make our dreams come true. But I'm talking about the stereotypes that Hollywood places on black women, this overly strong black woman, or we sexualize. Like, I would like to see more balance. Like, not her being like a damsel in distress, because I'm not that, but just to be like some easiness. And what this thing with Disney got the thing of turning black people to fucking to animals. Yeah.
I don't know. And also go off topic a little bit. I think you alluded to how we heroes and villains so strong that we remind them of their humanity. We rarely get to hear the backstories of super who look like us. All we know is man, they can kick ass, they awesome. We even in the context, do we even know T'Challa's backstory, at least movie wise, or kill other than T'Challa's father killed his brother or T'Challa's uncle, basically, and wants revenge. We don't really get to take the time to what makes them. Similarly, other Marvel heroes or any superhero, like I could say, for instance, we know that Fury was white at the beginning until Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury so much made him Nick Fury instead. Even though I think they wanted him to be beforehand. We know how awesome he is. We know that he's funny. How do you get the patch in his eye? Do we really get to know that unless you're no? So I would love to see in stories or people who think it's more equitable in stories, at least explain the aspect of some of the superheroes. The same way they explain how Magneto became Magneto, how Professor became Professor X, or how the Murdoch became the Daredevil. Mm-hmm. For Misty Knight, Luke Cage, and the other black heroes and villains.
Yeah, I think this will be a good time for you, Justin, to talk about like your wheelchair chronicles and how like you using that to empower yourself.
Yeah, for me, like the wheelchair chronicles is like really like opened up a lot of ways for me. Even currently now, what I'm doing, as doing filmmaking and photography work, but it's like it really like empowered me, to really like have a voice, like understanding that I have a voice, that I have a say, and I have a story to tell, in the disability community. Oftentimes, growing up, like I didn't know a lot of people with disabilities. I didn't know a lot of black folks with disabilities, and I always felt like it was just me. The only like I was the only one that was disabled. I was the only one that was in a wheelchair, and so trying to like have a voice, especially in a space where oftentimes you're not heard. So like prime example. So to do a little backtracking. So when I did the wheelchair chronicles, I was a student at DePaul University, and sort of like this is where I kind of like came up with the idea for the like wheelchair chronicles and everything. But like while I was there, like early on, I always felt like I was more of an inspiration in terms of, oh well, you're able to get here, you're able to get to class on time, or you're able to get to this building at this particular time, or get here early, or wow, you're like, you're really cool, you're like, I don't know how I don't know, like, you got here, and like, I don't know how I would do it. And I was also like, I think one of my earlier experiences of like being an inspiration was, I had a professor one time in one of my classes who said I was handy capable. It's and so yeah, and so you know I'm sitting there, like, what the fuck does that mean? And what the hell does what the hell does that really mean?
This is
And
why I
I'm like,
told the professor.
yeah, exactly. And this was like really like, okay, like, I'm tired of like particularly white folks, telling the stories that pertain to Black people, pertain to people with disabilities, and this is sort of like my motivation, for creating the Wheelchair Chronicles, because I'm just like, I'm tired of like hearing so many stories that about us that don't involve us. And I figured, like, you know what? I can tell my story better than anybody can. And so, creating the Wheelchair Chronicles was something that was very important to me. And then at the same time, I got like acclimated to like the disability community and meeting like so many like badass people within the community that were just open about their disability and didn't give a fuck about how people viewed them or how people seen them. And having that experience firsthand, I was like, oh, okay, so I actually do have something to say, or okay, this is how I could use my platform to spread awareness about like accessibility issues, or how I feel, in terms of intersectionality of being like a Black man and being disabled, and all of these things like really opened the doors for me. And so like being a part of this community, the importance of it, right? The importance of seeing like people who look like who talk like you, and understand where you're coming from, that was such a relief for me. And being able to see that and being able to add that to the work that I do, and in empowering other folks with disabilities, because that's what we got to do for each other. You know what I'm saying? All because we don't see, like I said, we don't see people like us. And so it's important for us to tell our stories, even in like as TJ, as you was mentioning, like the lack of backstory for like Black superheroes and even villains. Like, there's like a whole bunch of stuff about Batman and his backstory, and how he's been affected by like his parents getting killed, or like how he's like, affected a lot of like the villains from like Arkham Asylum and all of these other things that you hear about. And it's like, this is like, I want to hear more of that from like our superheroes, from Black superheroes, from even the villains, and like, hearing those type of stories. And so all of this stuff was just been empowering for me, because being able to see somebody who looked like me, hell yeah, I was like, yeah, I have that power, and I have a voice, and I could do some shit in this community. And I know that I got the backing from my folks who understand what I'm going through.
Yeah, and I kind of want to add like a one thing of how like a lot of Black celebrities that I found out had disabilities from our research, and how in order for them to reach the pinnacle of their success, they have to disassociate their disability. And like going back to like when I saw Holly Bailey being the Little Mermaid, and how when I sustained my disability at age 13, and how I was lost and thought, how am I going to live an independent life when like nobody else understand my challenges, and I can't do things how everybody else do. And it's just like like so important for that representation to be there for young Black boys and girls that have disabilities to look up to know that it's possible, that the sky is the limit. And like like I'm so happy that we having this conversation and we starting to break down this barrier of the intersectionality of Blackness and disability. So back to
You
you,
know what?
TJ. Sorry.
Go for it.
You
Go for it.
know what? You know what? Just quickly going back to like the Little Mermaid thing is this, like I just see like so much Black empowerment, from that announcement. But I've also been seeing a hell of a lot of pushback from people who are not a part of,
Haters,
who
they're
are not
just
Black.
haters.
Yes, who are not Black, but talk about black characters don't fit in this fantasy world, or they don't fit in that in this
First of
universe.
all,
And
mermaids been
yeah,
mermaids since the beginning of time. There are mermaids in Spain, Africa. There's mermaids in
yes,
Asia. So
yes,
technically, this has been mermaids for the longest.
Mhm.
And if you want to go back to the original, the mermaid had clear skin. They never color really or race, just clear skin. It could have been anyone. A
exactly.
dolphin looking like a mermaid. I don't know.
But I also want to say, since we're talking about mermaids, and then we want to get to like African spirituality and the orishas and the water spirits, we got Yemeya, Mama Wata, like
Yes.
all of these like beautiful Black mermaids or goddess spirits that
Mhm.
was in these stories, in these folklores, that's a part of like our culture, connecting us to the African diaspora. So like it's like so many layers when like white people saying like the story we're originally from Dutch, she can't be Black because there's no sun. But when we thinking about when they threw the Black people overboard with the transatlantic slave, and then
Mm.
futurism, they call them the joys, like the spirits, like that energy still exists in the water.
Yeah, tell it, fire, tell it.
Yeah, because even like Dick Gregory said like the hurricanes is the spirits of like the Black woman. Cause I was watching a TikTok video and he said you notice like the path of the hurricanes, they travel the routes of the transatlantic slave what the ships took. So I'm just
Okay,
saying, like we got Yemaya, we got Oshun, we got
okay.
Oya, and there's a story of Yemaya when like she seen her children being captured into slavery. Then she went to the Americas to see what they was going through. Like these energies, these orderishas are like over us, like they exist, they empower us, and they been here. They been mermaids. Black people invented everything.
Always, always. Actually, I'm looking at Jazz. Great, thank you for the comments and the question. I'm about to ask you a question now, and for those in the audience, if you want to chat questions, now's the time. Go for it. And talks of going back to our going back to the Orishas and other myths throughout Africa and even Native Americans also. I guess the question we could continue to address is from just wanting representation to attending to how. I guess to answer your question, Jazz. I'll use Black Fade Day as an example, where Black Fade Day, yes, we get to not only be fairies, we can define what type of fairies we can be. We don't have to be the satyrs or the nymphs, elves, the usual fairies that's white phase. We can actually draw back to the phase in native culture as well, or we could combine them both. So that if we want to go to the level of attending how we are represented from not only a creative standpoint, but also as a producing stream culture, recognize that it is okay to other cultures. It's also okay to nations from various cultures, even traditional mainstream culture, to make something new without appropriating it mainstream culture, but rather recognize that it is part of the long of superheroes and supernaturals, and it's just I dislike it when have representation in comic books and so then uh, the mainstream folks, the white folks especially, wants to claim our heroes as theirs, even created specifically for us.
Right.
If that makes sense.
I also think that we need to be a little more aggressive when we are doing things. If you write a script, for example, I'm writing a script, I'm not going to just let Joe Blow from production company X in Hollywood do it. I'm going to talk to Coop and be like, who do you know that can help me get this vision going? Because I think a lot of what happens is that we write or we create and then we sell, kind of like the beauty products and all the other things that we do that are great. We sell so we can make more profit. But if you can stay true to your idea and what you're looking for, that will be how we can bring our own stories and our own narratives to the conversation or the big screen like I want to do.
If we also stay true to our beliefs, guess what? You never know. It will sell regardless, especially if there's a need. For instance, I'm holding in my hand Queen Helene's cocoa butter. Now, people will probably would have laughed, well, why we need cocoa butter? For no, it's good for our particular skin. I'm sure Queen a lot of money off of us right now, especially for going to Walmart, because they know we need a butter.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, of course,
Yeah.
natural is better, but that's another thing.
Mm-hmm.
If need, you is money wise, representation wise, etc. Yeah. The question that Jazz posed. No. And Safiya, you about to say something? Safiya.
I think you muted it, by
I think you're muted, Fire.
Yeah, oh my bad. But anyway,
You're
like
good.
you were saying about like Faye Day, and like, cause I've been seeing a lot of her images like going viral. Cause I know I've been posting it, and then I'm like, this is exactly what I want to see. I want to see how us like just being Black and disabled, how we can use our creativity and talent to create opportunity for ourselves. Because those images was beautiful. And just thinking about like in different wheelchair being a fairy, what's the backstory? What do those stories look like? Because I'm ready to see, like Brittany, you saying you want to create your own film and story. I want to hear these stories. And like when y'all was talking about the one that Samuel Jackson played with his eye patch, like I kind of want to hear like those backstories, because I know with me, like once I found out that like my grandfather on the sperm donor side, that he was from Gullah Geechee, and I really like got in like really researching that culture, like with hoodoo, and with like even with Taiwanese, and how creative our ancestor was. Like even though what all they was going with like Jim Crow slavery, they was able to recreate a new language, to create a new religion after being stripped from everything. And we can tap into that power and create these stories where we see people with different types of disability, not only people that got physical disability, but who are neurodivergent, have chronic illness. So like I just want to see all the different brilliance of people have to offer with being Black and disabled.
Yep, absolutely. Mic drop. All right.
Yep.
So there's no other responses from us or the audience. Okay, with you all, we will get into a 5-minute break. And then after the 5 minutes, to part number 2. How Black people are viewed as superheroes, antichrist, villains, and